Hello, this is Daisy Mirach, psychic investigator, spiritual healer, and a whole lot more. And today I just wanted to have a little chat with you and tell you about some of the ghosts I've seen and some of the different interactions that I've had with spirit. So I started off seeing spirit when I was a tiny child, and really most of the way until I was up until my 20s, I couldn't do anything about it. And it was very frustrating because from time to time, I would just see a spirit. Sometimes there would be somebody dressed in, clothing from the 17th century, standing across a busy road and just kind of waving to me like that. And I would think, did I just imagine that? Am I seeing it? And I would see these people as transparent beings, and often they were kind of greys and blacks and whites rather than me seeing them in full colour. So by the end of my 20s, I was getting a bit fed up with this, particularly as I wasn't able to communicate at all or just didn't even think to do so. And so what I started doing is to try and find out, after I'd seen a ghost, who they were. And that's when things started really happening for me, I think, and there was a big change. So I've lived in a lot of different places. I think one example is possibly when I moved house, and one night I was brushing my teeth. The house needed a lot of renovation to be done. And I was just standing in this very old bathroom that I had, with a mirror, which was next to an open door, brushing my teeth, and in the mirror I could see in the hallway a lady just walking in through my front door wearing a nightdress who had long hair. So there I was, like, brushing my teeth with all this foam coming out anywhere, and it was about 10 o'clock at night, and I thought, goodness, who's just walked into my house? So I actually came out of the bathroom with the toothbrush in my mouth and the foam all over the place. And when I turned round and actually looked, I could see that the lady was wearing a floral nightgown, and that she was very old, but she was in fact transparent. And in the distance, I could see the front door behind her. And then she just kind of smiled and waved like they do, and then just kind of faded away. Now, it turned out that lady in fact was the previous proprietor of my house, and she had in fact died at the property. Now, I've got lots of stories I can tell you another time about her, but she did in fact save me on quite a few hairy occasions, managed to slam a few doors and frighten a few people that were frightening me. Another occasion I wanted to mention to you was I saw two young guys in a cemetery that I used to drive past every day, and they used to stand next to the cemetery wall, and both of them would be waving in a kind of quite urgent way. Sometimes I would just see them hanging around in the graveyard, and to me that's completely not logical at all, because people don't tend to die in graveyards. So I went around and I did a lot of research on this. And it turned out that, in fact, the guys, who I forgot to mention were dressed in army gear, were on a bus because there was a military base near to where I used to live. And the bus took a wrong turn and smashed into the cemetery wall. And these two guys actually had died on the impact. Now, by discovering that, I could actually find out who these guys were. And I decided to pluck up courage and go and see their families, which I did. And then I was able to see pictures of the guys, tell them the story, etc., etc., which was kind of great because they then understood that people do live in the afterlife. And then when I went back, those guys had passed on, and clearly they were waving to me so that I could find out who they were and let their families know. I've got quite a few scary ghost stories that I could tell you, but I think I'll save those for another time. Perhaps one of the most beautiful moments, and this is a spirit rather than a ghost, was with my healing. I was called up by a lady to say, please could you help this member of my family? I think she's gone nuts. She thinks that her dead husband is in the room with her, and now she just won't leave the house. So when I went there, in fact, as soon as I walked in, I realised that it wasn't a lie at all, because there was the husband trampling along in the house quite peacefully, and the wife at times was very conscious of the fact that her past husband was there. And so I was able to sit down with the wife on one side and the husband on the other side, and link into the husband and then pass a series of messages to the wife. So I could give her these lovely images about how when she used to be peeling vegetables, her husband used to come every night when he came home from work and put his arms around her and tell her how good she smelt and ask her what she was cooking for dinner. And there were some very specific phrases that he used to use that obviously meant that she really knew that he was still present. And then he told me about his favourite dress that she used to wear, what colour it was, and the fact that it was in her wardrobe. So it was an amazing experience. And then I was actually able to link their hands together so the wife could actually feel the husband's presence. And then I had to have a conversation to say, look, he can't stay here. It's actually sort of hurting him and he doesn't want to leave because of you. But it's really best that he moved on. So we did a little ritual where that was possible so that he could move on to the other side. Of course, he could still come and visit her from time to time. But the main fact was that she then knew that spirit does exist, that we do live on in spirit afterwards, and that our relatives can come and visit us. That's obviously not a ghost experience, because a ghost is pretty much stuck and can't move on. And I'll save it for another time as well to tell you what happens when a ghost is stuck and what we as healers can do to have them happily moving on to the other side. So hope you've enjoyed my story today. If you've liked the video, then hit like, subscribe if you can, and I'll speak to you very soon.